we're going to look at arithmetic sequences and series. An arithmetic sequence is a special type of sequence. And this sequence follows a specific pattern. Alright, and this specific pattern is adding or subtracting the same number to get the next term. Alright, so geometric sequences we multiplied to get from term to term, the same number each time. But for arithmetic sequences, we're looking at adding or subtracting, so it's a different operation. So let's look at these two sequences. To get from 2 to 5, I would add 3. To get from 5 to 8, again, I would add 3, and then add 3, and then add 3 again. So what's the next term in this arithmetic sequence? Well, that would be 17, and then 20, and then so on. So this 3 that we're adding in each time, the same number to get from term to term to term, is called the common difference. We usually use the letter D to stand for difference as a shortcut. So D equals 3, that's our common difference for this sequence. When I look at the next sequence, to get from 5 to 1, I would subtract 4. To get from 1 to negative 3, again, I would subtract 4, and then subtract 4. So this is also an arithmetic sequence. And the common difference here is negative 4. So the common difference can be positive or it can be negative. Sometimes we can't immediately tell what the common difference is. So again, we have a formula to determine the common difference when dealing with arithmetic sequences. Okay, so to find the common difference, D, you would take any two successive terms. Remember, that means terms that are side by side in the sequence. And we're going to take the later term and we're going to subtract off the previous term. So this works with any two successive terms in the sequence. Alright, so let's try it out. If we have the first sequence, we can find the common difference by taking the terms 2 and 5, the first two terms of the sequence, take the later term, subtract off the previous term, and we get 3. Okay, I can do it with the next two terms. Let's do 5 and 8. Take the later term, which is 8, subtract off the previous term, which is 5, and we again get 3. So I should be able to do this for any two successive terms within the entire sequence, and I should always get the same exact difference. So difference meaning subtraction. So when I subtract those two numbers, I always get exactly the same thing. So that's why we call it the common difference. Alright, let's look at the next one. The next one, you have to be a little bit more careful. So if I take the first two terms and use that formula to find the common difference, I'm going to take the later term, which is 1, and subtract off the previous term, which is 5, and I get negative 4. Now, if this really is an arithmetic sequence, every time I subtract two successive terms, I should get negative 4. So what about the next two? What about 1 and negative 3? So the later term, negative 3, subtract off the previous term, which is 1, and again, I get negative 4. Let's look at the next two. Negative 3 and negative 7. Take the later term, which is negative 7, subtract off the previous term, which is negative 3. So be careful here. You'll notice that we have a negative 7 minus a negative 3, so that gives me a positive 3. Negative 7 plus 3 does again give me negative 4. So if you can't tell if you have an arithmetic sequence because you can't find a common difference, if you're having a hard time finding that common difference, you can always use this formula that works with any two successive terms, and you should get the same number every single time. Let's take another look at these two sequences. Let's call this sequence A. Alright. If we call this sequence A, then 2 is the first term in the sequence, so I could call that A sub 1, and then A sub 2, A sub 3, a sub 4, a sub 5, a sub 6, a sub 7, and so on. If I start out with the first term in the sequence, how many times do I need to add my common difference of 3 to get to the second term in the sequence? And we only need to add that once. If I want to get from the first term, let's say, to the 7th term, how many times did I need to add in 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number of times that I need to add in the common difference is 1 less than the term number I want to find. So to find the 7th term in the sequence, we added in the common difference 6 times. So 1 less than the term number that I want to find. This idea leads us to what we call the nth term formula for an arithmetic sequence. Alright, so to find the value of any term in an arithmetic sequence, we're going to use what we call the nth term formula. N represents the term number that you want to find. A sub 1 represents the first term of the sequence. D represents the common difference. N minus 1 is the number of times you want to add in that common difference. And that value is always 1 less than the term number. So we're going to use this formula to find any term within the sequence that I want to find. So let's say that I want to use that formula to find the 7th term of this sequence. We're going to use that formula and we're going to set n equal to 7. So first I'm just going to go ahead and write out what that formula was. So it's a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So we're setting n equal to 7. So the 7th term of the sequence will be the first term of the sequence, which is 2, plus n minus 1 times the common difference of 3. Start to simplify there. 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So we get that the 7th term of the sequence has a value of 20. So keep in mind that the n value tells you where that value falls in line. The term itself is the value of the term, that's 20. So this says that the 7th term of the sequence has a value of 20. What if I wanted to find the 100th term of the sequence? In order to do that, very quickly, I could just take that formula, set n equal to 100. So a sub 100, or the 100th term of the sequence, will have a value of, we'll do 2, first term of the sequence, plus 100 minus 1 times the common difference of 3. That gives me 2 plus 99 times the common difference. So that's 2 plus 297. So it tells us that the 100th term of the sequence would turn out to be 299. Alright, so we're going to be using this nth term formula to find any term in the arithmetic sequence that I want to find. Right, it also works with a negative common difference. So let's come over here to this second sequence, and let's say that I want to find the 50th term of this sequence. So I'm going to take the nth term formula and I'm going to set n equal to 50. Okay, so I'm going to call this sequence B. Okay, so that means that when I want to find b sub n, our n value will be 50. So that would be the first term of sequence B. So that would be b sub 1. That would be 5. Plus n minus 1 times the common difference of negative 4. Careful with your negative. Make sure that negative goes in the parentheses and it's getting multiplied times what's in front of it. So that would be 5 plus 49 times negative 4. And that's 5 plus a negative 196. And then basically 5 minus 196. And that gives negative 191. So the 50th term of sequence B would have a value of negative 191. So make sure that you're familiar with the formula for finding any term of an arithmetic sequence.